got for me?
I know you're a part of Tight Pants Society. Oh, it is episode 3 of Gas, the Gresh Anik Show. Anik, how was your Thanksgiving other than spending time with your semi-angry brother?
Tremendous. Great to be with you. That music gets me fired up. It's an organic smile on my face. Thanksgiving was great. It was my favorite holiday. But, I was on the Detroit Lions in the first game, Gresh, and, to cover the spread. And when that doesn't happen, when you're on that 12:30 game, I was on them in the contest in Vegas and on my show with my brother, Anik versus Anik, right? So when you're out of the gate with a loss, it doesn't make me feel great the rest of the day.
Yeah, it's interesting because for some of us that were, doing ESPN radio until midnight that night, it was like a gift from the heavens, for God's sakes. And so here's what went down in week 13 in the NFL as we get into the 3 biggest stories in our world, or really just what we want to talk about. So week 13 yielded Matt Eberflus coaching his way out of a job. Miami proved to be a bunch of warm weather peas, because I don't want to get kicked off the air for calling them what they really are, but meow. Trevor Lawrence got knocked the hell out. Red Magic in Minnesota, and the Patriots peed down their leg. Jason, what was the biggest thing that stood out to you on week 13?
So much. And I feel like I want to get to all those things, right? But Gresh, it's like you jump right into the business. This is my friend, Andy Gresh. I'm trying to maximize every second of this hour, right? So we're only 2 minutes in. We got no sweatshirt stain. How was your Thanksgiving, first of all? Did you eat?
Mine was better than Eberflus. Yeah, I cooked and it was all good, brother. Yeah, I mean, I was completely fine, and the Oreo cookie pie hit like crazy.
Ooh, I love it. All right, so everything you said there I want to talk about, but let's start with Eberflus, right? And by the way, I called him, I think, Nate Ebers. I think I dropped like an old CBS exec on a previous show, right? But you talk about him sort of coaching his way into being fired. And I want to ask you a question about this, because I am an intangible guy, and I'll never forget when I watched Hard Knocks and I first saw his interactions with Caleb Williams. And I was like, you know what? There's like a little ego here that I'm seeing with Matt Eberflus, like drinking his own Kool-Aid a little bit, right?
Yep.
And not sort of liking what I saw. And I know that could be intangible. I don't know how good he is with X's and O's. I know he's a defensive guy. But we talk about this phrase like leader of men. And whether we're talking about your former teammate, Darren Rizzi, or even the guy Thomas Brown, the interim coach, who's going to replace Eberflus, right? I hated what I saw on that show. Am I making way too much of that? Like, I don't believe in that guy.
Well, I think it was one of these deals where he was trying to change his own image. So maybe he was trying to fool all of us, like they did the wife did the makeover. And it's
true.
Like, you're an NFL coach, okay, so you slick back your hair a little bit or whatever. I do think, Jay, there was a little bit of, he was not only smelling his own farts, but he was also trying to sell something to a team that was really going to be wrapped around Caleb Williams in so many ways. And I'll tell you, the Giants are in a real tricky spot. I know it's kind of jumping around a little bit, but last year it was Caleb Williams. Do you want to put him with Eberflus? Now you might have maybe not wasted a year, but slowed the development for a year. Do the Giants want to go through the same thing? Because they're in a very similar spot. They should be getting a quarterback. I know Dayball's an offensive guy, but boy, Chicago's a cautionary tale right now.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point you bring. I still do believe in Brian Daboll. I mean, are they ever going to be able to protect the quarterback, though? I mean, right? Can he help there?
Well, that's where offensive coaches you hope can coach around it. And it's tough maybe when everybody stinks up front, but that's the conundrum. Do you stick with the general manager then? And does the GM have an edict to, hey, you got to do something with the coach or the coaching staff? That's where these things get tricky at the end of the year, but it'll be kind of awesome to watch. What did you make, since you're down in that part of the world?
I'm glad you asked. Yep.
Are people in Miami now realizing that their football team is just completely soft as puppy poop?
I feel like they realize it, actually. I think the fans, I hate to say it, weren't expecting them necessarily to go into Green Bay and perform. I was expecting them to, Gresh. And You know, that first play, right? They hold him to Green Bay to a 3-and-out, right? They almost have Jordan Love fumble on that third down play. It's an incomplete pass, right? But then they fumble the punt and give Green Bay a 7-0 lead. And I don't want to make too much of that, but it's like, if you're going to get off that cold weather schneid, the beginning of the game can't go down like that, especially those of us that had Miami action. So for me at this point, I'm going to trust the data from here on out. I'm not betting on Miami in cold weather, and their season went up in flames that night. And I'm disappointed because they had won 3 in a row, and I was starting to believe in that defense a little bit too, but an uneven game. And yeah, man, it's for real.
You know, fake head coaches, and I shouldn't call Mike McDaniel a fake head coach, but guys who aren't completely good at their job allow that kind of stuff to fester. You know, I know you and I kind of, at times worship at the Tao of Belichick, but Bill would always say, well, the other team's got to play in the cold too. And Miami just cannot figure it out. Trevor Lawrence got knocked out, dirty play, 3-game suspension for, I think it's Al-Aziz. I didn't even know the player, Jay, quite honestly. I just know that Trevor Lawrence got foobarred. That's it.
So it's Aziz Al-SHAAIR, and I really want your opinion on this because I put some stuff in my notes prior to hearing D'Amico Ryan's comments, right? So look, I'm not trying to dispute, right? He was fencing, right? It was a concussion, bad result. But D'Amico Ryans, and I don't think he's just defending his player, you see so often with these quarterbacks, and I see it most with Patrick Mahomes running down the sideline, taking advantage of being in a position where the defense really has to be on eggshells approaching you, right? So Patrick Mahomes will be about to run out of bounds. The defensive player lays off, and then he keeps going down the sideline and gets another 10, 12 yards, maybe even to the goal line, right? So in this particular play, when you slow it down, it looks a lot worse. Trevor Lawrence was a little bit hesitant. There was a little bit of a late slide for me. And the defensive player, when they go low and they are trying to apply a hit in real time, it just looks so much different to me. And this is a guy that has a C on his jersey, is not a dirty player. These things happen really fast. And if Trevor Lawrence, who's a big dude, is coming at you running, the quarterbacks can't take advantage of these rules. They just can't. To me, it's slippery slope. Go ahead.
I'm totally with you, and the quarterbacks are taking advantage of it. My issue with the tackler is that he didn't try to tackle him. He went Lawyer Malloy 1997, trying to just get in there and give you the shoulder. So that's why I don't have a lot of empathy. If you went in shooting for an arm tackle, you're not going to crank the guy in the beam the way you did. But these quarterbacks that are slick are taking advantage of it, and I don't think the NFL has the ability to kind of tighten up the rule a little bit.
Well, it's true. And that particular hit, I couldn't agree with you more. It's a very well taken point. And for those of us Patriots fans, we remember the play you're talking about.
Like that's
right, exactly. But if you're a defensive player and you make that play and you don't hit him in the head, then it's a great play. And then maybe Trevor Lawrence is thinking about the next time he scrambles, sliding a little bit earlier. I could be a broken record with the disadvantages for defensive players. And when I see a guy who I don't think has malicious intent be put in a spot like that when you're playing American football, I still defer to the defensive player. And when I slowed it down, I saw a hesitant Trevor Lawrence that is culpable for part of that there.
I don't think there's any question. And I do think for some of these guys, it might not be trying to deceive. It might be that they're running around like a chicken with their head cut off and they really don't know what they want to do. I know we got some other stuff to get to. We've only got an hour today here on Gas. You can get Jay at Boston Anik, get me at The Real Gresh. You can get us on all the platforms there. The New England Patriots lost in ignominious fashion. Your thoughts, Jason Anik, longtime Patriots fan.
So thrilled with the result, if I'm being honest with you, because I do prioritize a good draft pick. So I have a group text with a bunch of Boston guys, and my text to them was comedy, ideal result. We could talk about the game and a lot of different components of it, but I want to ask you a question. And I know you had a very busy weekend, but there was a 3rd and 10 completion on that drive for the Indianapolis Colts. That was a 7-yard gain that was incomplete, that went as a completion. Gerard Mayo didn't challenge it, which led to a 4th and 3, a short down. Indianapolis covered. Obviously, the rest is history. They go down, score a touchdown, 2-point conversion. But I was screaming from the rafters in that moment. We've talked about Gerard Mayo, and I don't believe he's a good in-game coach. I believe he's in over his head, even though I did like the signing. So while for me, overall, I saw a lot of good in that game, kind of an ideal result.
Well, as I went to tankathon.com, Jay, as you were breaking it down, number 4 right now, but they've already got 10 losses. And Jacksonville, Vegas, and the Giants, if they all win this week somehow, which is very unlikely to happen, those are the teams that are in front of New England and trying to get the higher draft pick. I think week by week, what we're realizing is just the little things that Bill Belichick took care of every week that we never had to think about, right? He
No
knew
doubt.
when to challenge. Mayo was completely wrong there in not challenging. You sacrifice the timeout because of the importance of the down in the distance. And how about the defense? Not getting the defense ready for an Anthony Richardson run, let alone a 2-point
Right.
conversion, right? That's stuff that we would think that Bill Belichick along the way would have taken care of. They're really starting to miss this guy. And Drake May is showing he's growing every week. The question is, there's a lot of mistakes that are still being allowed to happen around him and for him to occasionally make. Will there be an adult that will be able to tighten that up? I'm with you. I don't know if Mayo's the guy.
Yeah, I definitely don't think Mayo's the guy. And what do you think of Van Pelt, the offensive coordinator?
I think he's doing as good a job. Him and Ben McAdoo is doing as good a job as they can in developing Drake May. But where ultimately is that offense going? And will this group eventually need to be coached a little harder in a couple of years to get the very most out of them? But look, May is getting better each and every week, even though he's making mistakes.
No doubt. And Cody just had a tweet up there that I had tweeted about Drake May. And Cody, if you could put that back up there, if you can. I just, Gresh, it's like I'm blown away. And I'm more curious about your thoughts about Drake May. But go ahead, Cody, play that sound if you don't mind.
We're dynamic. I think we can, hurt him in the pass game, the run game. We can do different things. We got play action, we got boot, we got running the football, we got throwing it downfield, we got guys making plays, run after catch. I think there's another layer to it of making more explosive plays, but we saw that a lot from run after catch today. And I think we're up 7.
Anyway,
we got the ball left with about 7 minutes, and we got to go pick up a first down and try to get a field goal and make a play.
I just love everything about this kid, Gresh, and I'm not trying to speak hyperbolically, right? But my brother and I were in your studio with you and Christian Fourier, last season, prior to the season, and John had a list in his pocket. I was making fun of him. I'm like, what a nerd. And he had 32 quarterbacks, and he had Mac Jones listed 29 out of 32. Because the moment I saw Mac Jones play professional football, I knew he wasn't it. And for a guy like me that didn't watch a lot of college football, that doesn't watch a lot of college football, no, hear me out. I didn't watch a lot of North Carolina, but I have close friends that did, right? And so many of these guys talking to me about Drake May, telling me that he was the real deal, that his game was going to translate. I like everything I've seen. I believe in this guy across the board. I'm not concerned at all about some of these turnover things. I do believe they'll get the right coaching. So I'll ask you, who's someone who maybe wasn't as down on Mac Jones originally as I was, do you not love what you're seeing out of Drake May? And are you not a believer that this guy's going to hoist one someday?
I don't know about the hoisting one someday, because there are a lot of really good quarterbacks that people would go streaking through town square over who don't even make it to a Super Bowl, right? And there are guys who probably shouldn't make it there, but nevertheless, Justin Fields, by the way, is the uncrowned Super Bowl champion. Mac Jones went to the playoffs. He's an idiot, but I digress.
Mac Jones went to the playoffs. I mean, come on.
I'm not better than that. Look at all those other first-round quarterbacks.
But what do you think of Drake May?
I know. I'm getting there. You poked the bear with the Mac Jones thing, but here's the thing with Drake May. You see the improvement. You see him getting better at reading defenses. There's only one thing that I don't know, Jay, is the killer instinct in there. I get at times Jay Cutler vibes from Drake May, meaning the whole kind of like, we went out there and gave good old country try. Well, it didn't work. I'm going to go drink me a beer type thing. And that's the thing that I don't know about Drake May. Is there a killer? Like Tom Brady was a beautiful killer. You looked at him, he would rip your heart out. I don't know if Drake May has that.
I hope Drake May gets to hear that audio. I couldn't disagree more. The comparison to Jay Cutler, like, no way. Jay Cutler, I hear you, the country thing, but dude, he's from an athletic family. And even that sound clip, right? It's like, I just like his mind. And I talked about this earlier. Mayo compared him to Gronk at one point, right? And so you could say, oh, well, that points to my Jay Cutler argument. But Gronk's energy is, in fact, this guy wants to win. He's going to win. I just believe in this guy. And I think the second piece, the head coach, right? Got the quarterback. Now you got to get the head coach.
Yeah, and the offensive coordinator to kind of go along with that as well. And let's see how they do these next 4 weeks as well. The Patriots' schedule is not easy, and I wonder if May will maybe get beat up a little bit. Speaking of getting beat up, I'm flying right into college football, Jason, because you know it was an unbelievable weekend. However, I want to go through this and get this right because you and your brother are very much in the fight game. Shout out to the champ, Bilal Muhammad. Hopefully he's feeling good. Your other podcast partner, among many, by the way. You're Mr. Podcast. So we had fights in OSU, Michigan, Arizona State, Florida State. It was unbelievable. It was fight night around college football, Jason Anik. And I know you're not the biggest college football guy, but don't tell me all of these flag planting scrums didn't get on your radar and at least tickle the ornery side of you a little bit.
No question about it. And I was more, and I joke a little bit about my lack of interest in college football. It's just only so many hours in a given weekend. And didn't Steve Sarkisian prevent maybe another fight in Texas A&M?
He did. He absolutely did. He was literally out there like doing one of these.
Well, last week you showed us an equipment guy booking it across the field to sort of tackle someone that had stolen a piece of equipment. But I can't get enough of sort of these little skirmishes, right? In the Michigan-Ohio State, right? It was so inevitable that something was going to happen there, huh?
Watch this video. This is fantastic. So somebody put this to one shining moment like it was college football, but it's the whole flag planting thing that is drawing all these reactions from these players and teams and coaches and all that. And I just wonder, I mean, the NCAA is notorious for doing nothing but the wrong thing. It kind of feels like these coaches minus Sark aren't going to be able to police these guys. I love it that they're scrumming a little bit, but look at this mascot fight.
Dude. Well,
when the male cheerleaders have to jump in to save you, you know something's going down.
Well, dude, and I guess I should have this guy's name, but I guess the guy with the Michigan flag, the guy who got the flag back was like a sideline reporter from Michigan. I think Jason Anik, maybe guy who played in the league for a while. Forgive me, I don't know the name, but it's just fascinating to me. And for those of us that are trying to get interested in this sport, yeah, I'd be lying to you if it didn't pique my interest a little bit. And it'll pique my interest as we go into this weekend with some of these matchups. It's just unbelievable to me how certain teams had really no chance to get in. And here we are a week later, and they very much have a chance to get in.
Yeah, there's it could be really chaotic, and I have a 4-leg parlay that I don't want to say guarantee, but I feel really good about. Some of these skinny favorites are really buyable on the money line, and I know we'll get to that. All right, we've got the final UFC pay-per-view of the year, friend, and I know we'll welcome in our guy Cody on this as well, but last pay-per-view of the year, Pantoja Asakura. And I always just put Shavkat Rakhmonov. Did I say that properly?
Very well, Rakhmonov, but
okay,
pretty good.
I went with the wrong emphasis there against Ian Machado Gary. There's also a fight that you and I need to circle back on, but Kai Asakura is interesting because if you're a diehard MMA fan, you follow MMA in Japan, you know this guy. But Jay, I think for a lot of the sort of average UFC fans, they go, wait a minute, Dana White is putting this guy in a main event for a championship against Pantoja? Normally, that's not the way UFC does business. That has piqued my interest in this main event.
No question about it. And I think doing it in the flyweight division is a little more doable for Dana White. I think there have been times where he wasn't so interested in that division. But you hit the nail on the head. My brother John, who's obviously a broadcaster for the UFC, they send him fighter bios, different things, information leading up to it. I got the email, no Kai Asakura bio anywhere to be found, right? Like I got work to do, Gresh, in terms of, I have a lot of UFC content that I'll be doing. I'm heading out to do some work for Fight Pass with my boy Bilal Muhammad. I'm going to be doing some work on this guy, right? But styles make fights. Certainly he's a striker. I don't believe the UFC has ever had a Japanese champion, which surprised me. Cody, you can check me on that. But Pantoja, right? He's won this title. He's defended it twice. Certainly, he's the designated favorite for a reason, thinks he can take it to the ground. I think there are some interesting opportunities, maybe some knockout props. I see Asakura plus 330 by knockout. It's plus 220 in the fight. Pantoja minus 270. I'd be curious to see where Cody may be lying on this fight. And you can put something in the chat, or excuse me, not lying, leaning in terms of betting. Cody, I mean, where are you leaning? You've ingested a lot of sharp minds already. There's our guy, Cody.
Well, I was trying to find a line and it's not up yet, but I really like the total in the two main and the co-main events because you got 4 guys out there who are just tough as nails. I mean, Pantoja, his kind of record supports that going to decision. Asakura, again, his risen career supports that as well. Flyweights really don't get a lot of finishes. I like the over there. And again, in the co-main event, you get 2 guys who we know the champion, Bilal Muhammad. We know that everyone wants to say, oh, Bilal's not a finisher. Bilal's not a finisher. But these 2 guys in the co-main, not finishers either. I mean, Shavkat, yes, amazing finisher. Don't want to say that he's not a finisher. I'm wrong there. But I think with Ian Gary here at this level of competition, I think you're going to see over the 25 minutes that these guys will end up going the distance. And again, I'm going to come down the card a little bit, Gresh. I'm going to get you the encyclopedia on the UFC card here. The Aljamain Sterling line, I mean, plus 210, former champion against Movsar Evloev, a guy who has not really been stellar in his UFC performances. That's an amazing line to me. Our friend Chris Weidman, as you alluded to, I'll let you guys get into that later. And then another story just from a human interest piece, Nate Landwehr. Nate Landwehr is going up against Korean Superboy Doo Ho Choi. Doo Ho Choi, one of my favorite fighters ever, was in that amazing fight with Cub Swanson, right? He's in the UFC Hall of Fame, but Nate Landwehr has shared that his wife actually suffered a miscarriage during this camp. So he's going in there not only motivated to win this fight, but motivated for his family too. I love him. I think he's like minus 150. That's your lock of the weekend this weekend. Nate the Train, maybe.
Ooh,
I know. That is my youngest, who's 20, going to be 21. He's at Bryant University. Yeah, that's one of his favorite guys. Like all of a sudden, I think he was on that AC card that we went down to as well. It's Nate the Train. I'm like, what? So they kind of smartened me up to Nate Landwehr as well. How about this Weidman fight? Now, Jay, I know that when it was scheduled before, but it got banged out.
Yeah.
You and I were kind of conflicted on this, and I gotta say, I was Anders. Now I'm not so sure. I feel like this is more of a coin flip fight than it would have been the first time around between these two.
Yes, and it is catch weight. It's at 195, but you have to let me go back to Nate the Train just because I want to tell you.
Sorry.
Right? Dude, no, you're good. He only takes cold showers in Camp Gresh. Literally doesn't take a hot shower anytime during camp. Puts himself through the suffering. And also, he came up to my brother a couple years ago at one point, sort of real serious, like, hey, man, when you announce me, you got to say the Train. Right. He's like, you got to say the Train. He wanted him to say the Train almost like instead of the last name. He was like, you got to say the Train. I'm trying to build my brand. So shout out the Train. But yes, Gresh, I felt like we were on an island with this Chris Weidman, Eric Anders fight that was supposed to happen in New York City. I've talked ad nauseum about Chris Weidman. I thought he was going to leave the gloves and retire, win or loss. No inside information. But you had put, I think it was in our dry run of this show, like that you liked Eric Anders. And yep. I absolutely loved Eric Anders back in that spot in New York City. Everybody I talked to, and maybe there are people that are closer to Chris Weidman, but like Chris, I am sort of with you. I don't know really how to handicap it now that it's sort of a month later and it's not in New York or whatever it is. But what I will say is, and I love Chris as a human being. I didn't like what I saw out of Chris the last couple times since the return from the leg injury. And I think Eric Anders is trying to finish his career on a high note. I don't know where the weight comes in, but I still like Anders. I feel like I want to stay on that island.
I'm kind of with you. They're both very much towards the end or at the end of their careers. So that does make it a little hard to handicap. It's almost like, okay, who's got more gas left? But I'm with you. I didn't like what I saw from Weidman after that gruesome leg injury. And I'm having trouble with this fight because there is the part of me that knows that if Chris Weidman were healthy, I would pick him in this fight. But I just don't know what he has left. I'll be honest with you. Pantoja, Asakura, I'm having a hard time with that because, like you mentioned, Jay, what do we know about Asakura? Like, if you're the handicappers, this has got to be a pretty difficult fight to put certain odds on because we just don't have any ring knowledge on this guy. But back to Weidman, I think I'll lean him. Is there have we ever had both guys at the end of a fight leave their gloves in the octagon? Like, is there a chance both these dudes, if it goes down, in some sort of way, both guys take them off and be like, you know what, I'm just going to leave him here?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't think Eric Anders is ready to be done. And I don't necessarily want to speak with Chris Weidman. Jens Pulver, who I've done some work with, longtime fighter, he said, when you win, he said, if Chris Weidman gets a win, he said, a lot of times you don't want to leave those gloves.
I can completely understand that. Well, look, it's we gotta
hit the co-main event. Cody ran through a lot of things, but we have not talked about the co-main event. So let's quickly do that before we transition. And like you said, we are going to put some pressure on you back on the college pigskin. You can be sure. So
I know. I'm ready for it, baby. I'm also ready to talk about this fight as well, because Ian Machado Gary is a guy who, like, for me, I knew through watching. I got to learn because my kids really like him. But come on, man. I can't go against Shavkat in this spot, in this moment. It feels like he is destined for a title fight.
So this was supposed to be Bilal Muhammad's first title defense, and the staph infection, I believe he did get the pick line out December 1st, right? So crazy for the champion. So he'll be out there, boots on the ground. We'll be doing some work out there. But Shavkat Rakhmonov, and my brother made this point on the Anik and Florian podcast, this dude had punched his ticket to compete for the undisputed welterweight championship of the world in this main event on December 10th, right? And now no interim, just to fight against Ian Gary, right? So respect to Shavkat, first of all, for doing this. I'm sure they made it worth his while. I'm sort of with you. It's hard for me to handicap or sort of take Shavkat off that number one contender pedestal. I don't think Ian Gary's ready to compete with Bilal Muhammad yet. But do I think he could beat Shavkat Rakhmonov? Most certainly, I think he could. Anything could happen in a fight. I'm excited to see it. I've gotten to know Ian Gary as a human being. It's hard for me not to root for him, but I can't wait to see it. This is really the main event in that co-main event slot. But I'll tell you, Gresh, there's so many big names on the early prelims and the prelims. There's so much meat on the bone here that for me, I'm excited in a way that I have not been about an overall card in a long time.
Well, I think the December pay-per-views normally get, some of the, I don't want to say like a good fighter who's got a leftover fight on their deal, but you understand the road I'm going down, right?
Yep,
It's like, we got one more before the end of the year. Well, hell, let's put them on the December cards. So you're right. Those December cards, especially the unders, they get kind of sneaky stacked along the way. Folks, don't forget to get all of us on social media. You can get me at The Real Gresh from YouTube on down. Same for at Boston Anik. Cody Merrow's out there on a couple different ones. Cody_Merrow. You can get us on Instagram, Gas Show AM. That's where you can get all of us. We're all out there. You can find us as well. Don't forget about Anik versus Anik with the folks at Oddshark every Thursday at 11 a.m. And how about this? I got the old high school state championship games on Thursday and Friday, Jay. It used to be they played 6 games in one day. Now it's 3 and 3. So it's a little more humane. But I mean, imagine 18-year-old Anik boys playing football, and they said, "Oh yeah, this game will be played inside Gillette Stadium." Pretty cool.
Unbelievable. So you'll be on the sticks calling all 6 of these games?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been the color analyst on these for a while because most people don't have the voice to kind of get through it. So that also kind of helps. But to see the joy of these kids, like, when they go out for warm-ups and then they do one of these, and they just like they just look around and take it in. It is pretty cool. That's something that everybody can relate to.
No question about it. We got to play basketball when we were about 8 or 9 years old at the halftime show. I want to say it's Bentley College, one of those colleges in Boston.
Yeah,
Bentley.
Absolutely.
So we did a little halftime show at Bentley. My brother took it coast to coast, finished with the left hand. No, it's like nothing. My daughter is going to actually, I think, be able to cheerlead at a Heat game this year. So,
dude.
Yeah, man, it's real. But I will say, right, let me get my play-by-play chops going at some point. Anytime you get one of these high school or these things that maybe they need a fill-in guy, holler at your boy. I'll come sit next to you and see what I can do. Never done it before, but that may be a good platform for me to get going, right?
That is true. The whole no one's watching. They put these things on. They put these things on TV 38. So there's always Aunt Myrtle, who is, like
38.
Yeah, his real name is Timothy. I don't care. The coach calls him Lightning because we'll go to these coaches and say, "How do we pronounce this name?" And they'll go, "I don't know. We call him Pismo or whatever." And I'm like, Well, that don't help me, brother. So anyway, that is a part of what we are up to. And of course, you're going to be in Vegas this weekend, right? You're going to get to see please pass the champ a thank you. He's been very good to us on social.
No question. Bilal always looking out for us. Yeah, so I will be there. I leave tomorrow morning with my brother. We'll be there. But, bro, I'm just going to quickly, since you said, I'm just going to name some of these fighters, just names, not even matchups, on the early prelims and prelims, right?
Okay.
Kennedy Nzechukwu, Clay Guida, Chase Hooper, Michael Chiesa, Max Griffin, Chris Weidman, Eric Anders, Randy Brown, Brian Battle, Movsar Evloev, Aljamain Sterling, Vicente Luque, Dominic Reyes, Anthony Smith. All those guys are on preliminary fights this weekend. It's crazy.
No, it very much is. And Chase Hooper, is he still like 18 years old?
Not. Well, Chase, so he's 25 years old. I'm glad you brought that up, right? And I've gotten to know Chase pretty well. So he's 25 years old, facing Clay Guida, who will turn 43 at midnight Saturday night after he competes. They grappled against one another. I think it was a calf slicer. So in 2022, they actually grappled one another and Chase Hooper finished him. But I've gotten to know Chase well, and we joke about his age, but he is a man. And he was a boy when I met him, right? But he's a father now. He has a little baby girl. So I'm excited for Chase. Big opportunity. But when you're a minus 1,100 favorite or minus 1,050, whatever Chase is, right? A little pressure built in there, no?
Yeah, just a tiny bit. And Clay Guida, I mean, he's like Jim Miller. He's like these guys. They don't go away, and they're always ready. That's the other thing too. They're old, but they're ready. Anytime it's like, oh, you want to scrap? Give me 2 weeks. I'll lean out. Let's go. That's going to be a very fun fight. I have had a lot of fun needling you and Cody because you're allowing yourselves, and I know that Cody jumped to the card, but you've allowed yourselves to kind of be sucked into the Boston Red Sox free agent vortex. And I did some digging around, and I saw some stuff on BetMGM where it still has the Yankees as the favorite to get Juan Soto, and the Red Sox are at plus 300. However, Jason Anik and Cody Merrow, are you guys taking the cheese on some of these reports? And we got the foreign language report this week saying that Soto was going to end up with the Red Sox. Are you at full-blown blue pill just yet over the possibility?
Well, your dripping sarcasm is well taken, but I'm so curious to get inside your head, right? If I were to make you put a number down for real, like on a piece of paper of what you thought the chances were. But let me just say something to you, right? And like I said on last week's show, I'm going to enjoy the excitement, right? My only hope is after all this that he doesn't go back to the Yankees for real, because I'm not really necessarily thinking he's going to go to Boston. And Jared Carrabis, right? President of Red Sox Nation, I'm sure you know.
No doubt. Oh, yeah.
So he put it best, right? He said he doesn't love our chances, but he likes them, right? So you see the odds here. The fact that the Red Sox are even up on the board. I saw something talking about him maybe taking, the Blue Jays offering the most money, but him not necessarily wanting to go to the Blue Jays. But what I will say, Gresh, maybe the Mets are most likely. But either way, the fact that we're even talking about it. But Gresh, I mean, do you think I don't expect it to happen, but yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm sure there's some appeal to playing left field in Fenway Park and not having to transition to the DH and covering that small territory. The measurables on him as a defensive player aren't necessarily great playing in big parks, and he does take the ball to all fields, that short porch. I mean, what do you think? If you had to write a number on a piece of paper, I mean, you just think no way? You think Yanks? You think Mets? Talk to me.
I would say that the Mets are still, to me, the favorites because their owner is crazy. Like, in all honesty, I mean, we're talking about a guy who has no problem paying $550 or $600 million for this player. Whereas with John Henry, I just don't think that computes to him. And the Yankees are going to be leveraged at some point to where they can only go so far. But let me make it very clear. John Henry could make you 1,000% happy because he has the ability, the wherewithal, and the old money under the budget to write the check if it takes $60 million a year for Juan Soto. We can always do none of these guys are worth the money, but man, you start to get to $60 million now on $250 million payrolls. The guy better be LeBron James like or Jason Tatum like in terms of the impact in your overall lineup. And that's why I keep coming back to the Red Sox just don't think that way. Steve Cohen does think that way. So Mets plus 150 is where I would put my money in terms of Soto right now.
And I agree with that. But I do think sometimes that like Alex Cora, I do believe that he has a voice, right? And I do believe Juan Soto is an incredible fit in Boston. I really do. And I also do believe he is a generational transcendent player as well. And if we're talking about these dollars, Mookie Betts, is a bargain now at 400 million or whatever it was, 365 million. It is. But I think the Red Sox are the best fit for this guy, 100%. I wouldn't be surprised if his agent, Scott Boras, agrees, and he will be the dude. Rafael Devers, I love, but he ain't that sort of superstar in a way that Soto would be. Go ahead, Bone.
Well, guys, I just wanted to ask you a question. Obviously New England sports fans, we're just deep in it, but do you believe the hype? Because I think the question is that over the last 5 years, we've been kind of like a token, offer. It's like, oh yeah, we'll give you your 3 for 45. And then somebody comes in, he signs for 3 for 70. And then we're like, oh, well, just a token, you ask the ugly girl before the hot girl says yes. Do you guys believe the hype in this?
I guess by my reaction, I kind of don't.
And like I do, because I don't think it's hype. I think it's real. I absolutely think Juan Soto is considering the Boston Red Sox. Don't you, Andy?
Well, I think his agent is, definitely.
Great point. That's a really interesting way to put that.
Because the agent has every want for the Red Sox to be in this. And is that how Juan Soto views them? Cody mentioned it's been about 5 years now, and even before that, the Red Sox were always the team that would drive the price up for someone. I think this might be a setting the price for someone, but when it comes right down to it, really, Jay, what will be the difference between the money? It ain't going to be like 100 million. It might be 20 million, 25 million, maybe 50 at the most, but Soto might still say, I'd love to have $600 million, but that's also in Massachusetts. I'm going to get the same in this state. There's so much that goes into it that I wonder if Soto's agent is driving more of this hype right now than Soto himself.
Just fascinating. And I will say, the Red Sox, it's when Mookie Betts went away, you sort of felt like they were becoming a small market team almost overnight, that they were not going to be a big market team anymore. And I maybe hype is the word, Cody, because I believe that maybe they are still going to be a big market team. And I hope that I'm not wrong here, but I think they're trying. And I don't think Alex Cora, I believe so much in Alex Cora. I don't think he would want to fuck around and stick around there if they weren't going to be committed to competing with these other teams, because they haven't been able to compete without some of these big names.
Yeah, and from my time in Boston and being around Alex Cora, Alex, don't think I haven't forgotten. You told me there's a great spot in Boston for mofongo, and I'm going, Cora. I'm texting you and I'm telling you we're gonna go. Jay, you're gonna come up for that. We'll go have some. We'll go have some mofongo. Actually, Alex would probably say, wait, those guys are in Florida? Come on. You and I will fly down to where they are.
Exactly.
And he'll know where to go.
Take a helicopter to Puerto Rico. We're in business.
Oh, there we go. I don't even want to get going. I was talking old wrestling with Alex Cora once.
Wow.
From the old Puerto Rican wrestling. He loved Bruiser Brody and Carlito Colon, but I digress.
All right. So wait, so you know him well.
I know him enough being around the guy for 2 years that he stayed here in part because of the money, but I do think he believes there is a core that is worth investing in that will draw free agents. Definitely.
And don't you believe that in a room, Alex Cora can move the needle for Juan Soto and not just his agent?
No question. And that's what you have to hope, is that if, say, the Red Sox are 50 million short, that Alex Cora and David Ortiz and people can convince them to come here. But then again, the agents drive a lot of this and whispering in their guys' ears. And I'm sure Juan Soto is going to listen to his agent, because the agent has a track record of getting people billions of dollars, which is pretty wild when you think of it. All right, brother, I know we got college football to get to. We got some pro to get to. We want to, maybe circle back on the Patriots a little bit. But week 14, we narrowed it down to the best 5 on the card because, woof, brother, I know that you're in the super contest. There are some just dog-ass games this week in the NFL.
Yeah, and last week, no buys. This week, you have 6 buys: Baltimore, Denver, Houston, Indianapolis, New England, and Washington. So less games to choose from. Thursday night, I don't even know where to begin. I'm so excited to watch this. Green Bay +3.5 at Detroit, totals 51.5. I feel like you maybe have a lean. I think the Lions really could have easily lost on Thanksgiving. So I'm peeking a little bit at that money line for Detroit -190. Green Bay's been a tough team for me to handicap personally this season. What are your thoughts on that Thursday night tickle?
Oh, to me, this thing's going over in a big way. You got to look at the Lions defense. And I saw a breakdown of how many players they've lost this season. I mean, they're signing guys off practice squads. Jamal Adams was like an all-time bust, in my opinion, for the Seahawks. And then he went to Tennessee. They're signing that guy off the street to kind of bring him in. They're throwing everything they can because the bodies are falling in Detroit. And it was exhibited by the second half of that Bears game. I know everybody got all Eberflused out. Caleb Williams looked different because of some injuries. They're a mash unit right now. I think the Lions will think, we got to score 31 to win this thing. I think this game is going over in a big way.
I like that a lot. And, you know, the way the Philadelphia Eagles are playing right now, and, you know, there's so many games we're going to talk. I think Buffalo goes at the Rams, but this number one seed, this singular bye, we've talked about it, but there's going to be a lot for these teams to play for. I mean, Detroit got a tough game at home against Green Bay. You don't win this game. I mean, Philadelphia is coming.
Oh, there's no doubt. And with the injuries on Detroit defensively, the bye becomes very important for them. One less game and that home field advantage could end up being everything. Let's go to Atlanta at Minnesota. Atlanta, they are 5-point dogs at Minnesota. Minnesota snatched victory from the jaws of defeat last week against Arizona. And Atlanta, to me, is what they got what they wanted. They didn't want Bill Belichick. They wanted to keep everything together, and they're a very mid-football team that is lucky that they're in the division they're in.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. And isn't it fascinating? Michael Penix Jr., the number 9th overall player at quarterback, and a lot of us, myself included, criticizing them for making that draft pick. Kirk Cousins looks 46, looks my age, not 36, right? Doesn't look good coming back from that Achilles. Was terrible. Look at that mug. Is that your face on the front of that mug?
Mm-hmm.
Of course it is. That's tremendous, by the way.
How about that? There you go. Look at that Gresh face.
Did you ever have a nickname?
Nope. Only last name, because no one calls me by my first name ever.
And what is it? AG3? Because you are Andrew.
Yeah,
Gresh.
I'm Andrew F. Gresh III. The middle name is sealed because that ain't getting out.
I like it. Anyway, back to Kirk Cousins, right? Back at Minnesota. I'm intrigued by this game. Minnesota got outplayed by Arizona and still found a way to win the game. So this is an interesting one for me. This is a game that at this stage in the week on a Tuesday, more has to sort of transpire for me. Hard for me to think Kirk Cousins is very confident here, but laying that 5 points with Minnesota, where just that offense to me is so uninspired, can't really run the ball very much. So for me, I do like maybe the total going over a little bit because I think Kirk Cousins will have some things to prove. And I also think he's very capable of those pick sixes, which put points on the board in a hurry. But this is a game I'm going to sort of let play out a little. I'm going to let the board sort of simmer before I play this one.
Yeah, I would say I would lean towards the over. It's only 45.5 right now, and it takes, a pick six to sort of tilt things. You hope that the kickers do their part and don't screw things up, because Lord knows we saw that happen this week in multiple games. Seattle's +3 at Arizona, total of 45. Arizona, get the hell out of here. Every year, let's line up with Calamari once again. Put the little guy back there, let him run around like little Doug Flutie, throw the ball all over the place. They're rinse and repeat or Arizona. It's just with different names and different people coaching them.
Yeah, I hear you. Did you see, by the way, Natick, Massachusetts' own Doug Flutie and the Buffalo Bills sort of bringing them onto the field? I guess he had dinner with Tirico and Collinsworth the night before and told him he was nervous about it. You were probably on the radio, Gresh. Probably didn't see that, but yeah.
Oh, so no, I didn't. And Doug Flutie and I used to make fun of him for bringing gloves to Fenway Park. In fact, there was a very infamous incident at the old AAA ballpark of the Pawtucket Red Sox the year that they had the All-Star games. I used to make fun of Doug Flutie, and I worked with a guy who was like, you won't say anything to his face. I did. He got up, threw the headset down, walked away, and when he walked away, he kicked off our power, so it looks like he pulled us off the air.
Wow. I
about
tell you,
that?
we need to do a segment at the end of this show, Gresh stories, right? Because even when you bring up a guy like Mike Babchick, who I listened to for a lot of years and really enjoyed him, and then you compared me to him and I said something, right? But even that, you got stories about Babchick that would probably blow my mind.
Well,
So,
honestly, Babchick's he owes it to me, but I digress. I saved
all right.
him in '09, and he knows it, that little bugger, but please.
So Seattle +3 at Arizona is the game we're talking about. I like
Mhm.
getting off track with my boy Andy Gresh. But so they lost to Seattle 16-6 2 weeks ago. This, I kind of liked them at Minnesota last week, and they did outplay Minnesota, but it's hard for me to believe in them coming home after sort of shitting the bed like that. But I do kind of like Arizona to come back home. Seattle's playing good football right now and maybe peaking. But I like the home team. I like a lot of what they're doing. And I just still think, to your point, I don't like the calamari nickname because I like Kyler Murray, but it's just disjointed, right? When they had a chance to sort of late come back and maybe kick a field goal to win the game with, right? I don't have a lot of confidence in his ability to get 30, 40 yards in a short amount of time and execute and put them in field goal range. It just, I don't necessarily look at him as a winning player all the time, no matter how much I like the athlete.
You're giving me the better team with points in Seattle. I'm taking it all day long and running with it. Buffalo -4 at the Rams. Bills won a snow game over the weekend. My thoughts on the Rams. I think they're very Arizona-like in a lot of ways. I know the Bills are beat up, but I think Buffalo handles business here. Rams ain't good.
I hear you. It's hard not to love this Buffalo train just rolling, but at the LA Rams, I love my guy Sean McVay, right? They beat your boy Darren Rizzi last week, right? But even you see how excited they get on the sideline, sort of at the end of the game when they're making smart plays to seal the deal. But I believe the Rams should have been sellers, Gresh. I'm with you. I've said this ad nauseum. I don't believe in that team long term, right? And so, but LA, right? Playing at LA for the Bills, right? Off that tough snow game. You tell you banged up. It's not, there's a reason why the spread is an 8 for the Bills, which could be one of the probably top 3 team in football, right? So if the Rams find a way to win, right? And they're 6-6 now, they get to 7-6, right? All 3 of these teams, the Seattle, Arizona, they could all be 7-6. So we talk about this number 1 seed being crucial for Buffalo. I think Buffalo will be ready to play. But every game is huge. Devin McCourty has talked a lot about sort of the Patriots playoff mindset, looking for a bye. Now, granted, this was a lot when there were 2 byes, but sort of that playoff mindset down the road. And in a way, like Buffalo, this is a playoff game. You got to find a way to win this. So, right? You really got to find a way to get that 1 seed. So I'm going to give this game some good looks, but hard for me not to love the Bills at this stage.
And then the Chargers, who I know you were on the Harbaugh Bowl when we first started gas. Chargers are +4 at Kansas City with a total of 43. This, to me, is a real danger game for Kansas City. They have been winning by the hair of their chinny chin chin. This is a team that's going to come in and I think fight you, and they're going to have the details buttoned up. I don't know if the Chargers win outright, Jay, but +4, I want that all day long. I'm over 3, even at 3.5. I like the Chargers.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. I like it even at +3. I like the money line as well. Kansas City's lost 6 straight against the spread. It's sort of a very popular narrative, whether you talk about that Philadelphia Eagles last season, they weren't as good as their 10-1 record, right? The Chiefs just aren't as good as their record, but it's a narrative, but I really do believe it to be true. Chargers, nice momentum here, sort of bouncing back after that loss in the Harbaugh Bowl, get a win next week. I absolutely love the 4 points. Depending on the weather, I kind of like the over 43 points there. I think maybe these teams put some points up on the board, but I don't know what to make of KC. I love the points too, Gresh.
Yeah, I'm with you on the points. So if we were to throw this together, I know I like the total on Thursday Night Football. Atlanta, Minnesota, we were kind of Mets on that one. I know you're on Arizona. I like Seattle +3. I think we're both feeling the Rams. I think we're both feeling the Chargers. I really like the Chargers as maybe a best bet this week.
I agree. You said we're both feeling the Rams. We are feeling the Bills. Yes.
Oh, Bills. Sorry. Yeah. My bad.
You're not joining tight pants society, Gresh. It's really interesting. When we were growing up, boot cut jeans were really popular, right?
Yeah.
You could talk to your boys about this, right? They're coming back, Gresh. So guys like you that don't like the skin, I don't mind the skinny jeans. I could fuck with some skinny jeans, but for you,
yeah, because you're skinny.
Well, the boot cut's coming back for you, Gresh. I never did that. The capri pants where they're a little taper, right? You're showing a little bit of the ankles. We never did any of that.
Yeah,
Okay?
no. Oh, good. So you didn't go full blown Mike McDaniel then.
No.
All
No.
right. That's it. So you do have some pride. That is good.
So are you going to allow me to put you on the spot in terms of college football? Because
Bring
if
it.
you're going to try and make me give you college football, I feel like I'm going to need to fly up to Boston. I'm fired up. I might need more. We only got 11 minutes left. I don't know, Gresh. An hour might not be enough for me. But
Bring it, baby.
In terms of the college football, it is a little difficult for me to wrap my head around some of this stuff, right? It feels a little bit right. I had like jujitsu in November. Now you give me college football in December, right? Trying to wrap my head around this. But I'm going to take you through some of these games. Tell me which way you are leaning. I'm fascinated by some of these opportunities for some of these teams to get in the dance. We can call it the dance now.
The dance now. It's true.
All right. We're going to start Friday night, 7 p.m. Conference USA, Western Kentucky, plus 4.5 at Jacksonville State. Total 58 points. Any leans there, Gresh?
Well, I do. I like Jacksonville State plus a minus the 4.5. How about this at Jack State? They're one of two schools with multiple 1,000-yard rushers. Now, the other school that did that was New Mexico, and they're not great, but nevertheless, I think when you have two guys that are willing to pound the rock, and coach at Jacksonville State, old Rich Rodriguez, a offensive-minded guy. So I'm going to go Jacksonville State minus the points because I think they're just going to run on Western.
I like that. You know, you talk about these multiple backs, right? And you think about Sony Michel and Nick Chubb at Georgia and the New England Patriots definitely not picking the right one. Even though Sony Michel, Super Bowl winner, touchdown Super Bowl, I believe. He played well. All right, moving on. Mountain West. An hour later, Friday, 8 p.m., UNLV getting 4 at Boise State. A lot of people like Boise State. Total 58.5. Who do you like?
I like Boise State as well because they have the most to play for. And this is one of those where the college emotion is really, I think, going to work for them. Let's remember early in the year, UNLV had their quarterback say, "You didn't give me what I promised in NIL," walked away. They still ended up in the Mountain West Championship game. But this is where, like, Barry Odom's crew kind of taps out a little bit. I just think Boise has too much. And don't discount Boise saying, not only do we need to win, we need to make a statement win. That's why I like them minus the 4.
Agreed. Moving on, another tilt Friday at 8. American Athletic Conference, Tulane minus 5.5 at Army. Total 46. Army got handed, sort of put in their place by Notre Dame a couple weeks ago. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Tulane has got to be the lean here, minus the 5.5. It would be a third straight 10-win season for Tulane if they get the victory. And I don't think the difference between Army and Tulane, like talent-wise, we know there's going to be a big difference. Really, with Army, it's grit and hustle, but all it takes is one turnover for it to become a 7-point margin. So I'm going to go Tulane. That's a big number, minus 5.5. Army battles. Army is at home. Is something to consider in case you think my pick's a little wonky.
Big 12, Saturday at noon. I believe the winner punches a ticket. Iowa State plus 2 at Arizona State. Total is 51. Iowa State's playoff chances took the biggest increase last week. 10-2, great opportunity for them. Close game on paper. Who do you got?
Yeah, I don't have a side on this game. I got the total in this one, 51. Jack it up. Rocco Becht. Remember Anthony Becht, tight end for the Jets?
Yeah.
Jay? His kid Rocco is the starting quarterback at Iowa State, and the kid can sling the rock. Arizona State, I know that some argued their best physicality in the Arizona game was at the end of it whenever they were fighting over the flag. To me, this has got points. The Big 12 is always about points, over 51.
And the MAC also Saturday at noon, Ohio University plus 2.5 at Miami of Ohio. Total 44.5.
I saw Miami earlier this year. I kind of know what they're all about. Ohio's been plucky, but I got to go with Miami on this one, although I do like them on the money line at minus 135. That's the thing about some of these skinny numbers is you can get the favorites on the money line.
Yeah, and so not laying the 2.5, going just to win the game.
Going money line, yeah.
SEC Championship, second time we're going to see this matchup this season. Saturday at 4 o'clock, Georgia plus 2.5 at Texas. Total is 49. Who do you like?
I love Texas in this game. Georgia is flawed. They found a way to snatch a victory from the jaws of defeat in an 8 overtime game. I was doing Mad Dog Radio. We were literally, Jay, in and out of that game for an hour because it was so amazing. That wears you down. Texas is a wagon. Did you see Arch Manning when he ran for that touchdown? And he's got kind of like that weird Manning face scowl. I love it. Texas has 2 quarterbacks. That's why they're winning the national championship. But
Ooh.
I am all over Texas minus the 2.5 against Georgia.
I like it. Little future provided there by the great Gresh. All right. Big Ten championship, Penn State plus 3.5 at Oregon. Totals 49.5. I feel like this game is maybe being played closer to Penn State. I think they were actually, I saw some varying degrees, but I think this line has moved a little bit. I think Penn State, dare I say, opened as a favorite. That never made sense to me. Oregon minus 3.5. They've been the best team all season. Do they win the Big Ten championship?
Oregon will bitch Penn State because James Franklin is a fraud. Period. Stop.
I like it. All right. Good. No more. Ohio State won't be competing in that football game. Unbelievable.
Oh, how about
all
that,
right.
baby?
By the way, though, they're still going to get in, Ohio State, right? Still getting in. And any given Sunday, right? Yeah, careful. You know what I mean? That can motivate them, right? Ryan Day.
Very much so. Yeah. They have something to play for now.
No doubt. ACC Championship Saturday, 8 p.m. Clemson plus 2.5. I love that they have a chance to get in. At SMU, total is 56. I'm going to ask you first. I mean, SMU, if they lose to Clemson, they're still have a good chance to be in.
I kind of think so. It's funny. I was just trying to see real quick if I could figure out the SMU. I got a little strength of record here. I think with SMU, it might teeter a little bit. They should still get in, but it won't be the slam dunk. It'll be dependent on what happens elsewhere. But I like the total in this one going over. I just think it's going to turn into a shootout, and Clemson's just happy to be there.
I love it. I just really would love to see Clemson get in this tournament. I like the coach. I like I like the program. Be interesting to see them make some noise when they weren't really talked about much.
They're a good name brand. So here's my parlay for people. Go Big 12 over. So Iowa State, Arizona State over 51. Give me Miami of Ohio on the money line minus 135. I want Texas on the money line. $25 is worth protecting myself on the money line, or $20, whatever it would be. So Texas on the money line, and then Oregon minus the 3.5, because I believe in James Franklin as much as I believe in the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus.
I tell you, good stuff there. And I will say, you felt like you had some strong conviction on Boise and even maybe, Jacksonville State. So I may look at some of those, get my day going, get my sort of weekend started on Friday night a little bit.
Oh yeah, you could do a nice little Friday night parlay for yourself and start the weekend right. But I'm telling you, James Franklin in a big moment, forget about it. He just craps his pants every time. Every time.
It's like, I know we're getting out of here soon, but I feel like I'm not totally satisfied with when I talk to you about Drake May, with me getting inside your head, right? Because if you were here in my living room and we could just hang out for a while, I guess I'm a little bit surprised that you aren't as excited as I am, because I tell you, Gresh, like, ever since Brady left, it was like Mac Jones to me. I knew it wasn't it. I knew it right away. So it was hard for me to be a fan of the team. And I know our audience could be more nationally based, but I guess I really, really believe in this guy. And I just, everything I see, the Jay Cutler stuff, come on.
Well, it's just look, what did Jay Cutler have? He could move. He had a big arm. He can make all the throws, right?
But I don't think he's a football junkie like Drake May, and I don't think he's sorry.
But that's the thing. Do you think Drake May is that kind of football junkie?
I do. I think I really do. I think that coming from that type of athletic family, with his brother played basketball at Duke, I'm telling you, and I don't think he cares about following Brady. And that whole Gronk comparison, right? This was after a game they lost, but he had done some things and getting better every week without great leadership. His instincts when he plays, it's like, I remember watching Drew Bledsoe. My grandfather wanted Drew Bledsoe gone so early, and maybe it's a bad comparison, but Drew Bledsoe did everything a split second too late. Drake May does everything a split second too early. He does things before I think he should. That's a great sign for me.
Yeah, the thing that I do worry are some of those like interceptions over the middle late in games, because as we saw after year one with Mac Jones, those start to build a little bit. And if you don't have the coaching to correct it, like that's really what hurt Mac is it was Matt Patricia. What I'm hoping is the guy behind the scenes, Ben McAdoo, is really the one who is in Drake's ear, sort of telling him, you can't do that stuff. Here's why. Not that the OC wouldn't, but there is kind of like a Svengali behind the scenes in McAdoo that you hope can get through to Drake May in terms of reading defenses and things like that. Listen, the kid's got all the skills. It's all up in the cabeza, and then it's coaching.
Yeah, and Cody, I'll let you get in real quick, but like Mac Jones, for me, even when I watch him play and burn me with that backdoor cover in Jacksonville, everything has to go perfectly well for a Mac Jones play to work because he's slower than Brady, and it just doesn't compute. Where Drake May has the swagger. Call me fucking remedial, but he has it. Drake May has it. Cody, go ahead.
Well, he has what you want, right? And what you want is that the guy ends up being like this man right here, and he ends up being like Josh Allen. Because congratulations to Josh Allen, gets engaged, right? Like he's got everything that I want in a quarterback. It's like the Harbaugh brothers say, who's got it better than us? Who's got it better than Josh Allen? I don't ever want to hear Josh Allen compare about having a flat tire outside. Oh, I'm the face of the NFL. Oh, I'm dating Haley Steinfeld. We're going to get married. Nobody's got it better than Josh Allen. And that's the guy that I want. So, hey, Brian Daboll gets fired. Hire that guy for the OC. That's my prediction.
Hey, let's remember quickly on Josh Allen, what is the one thing that has really benefited him? That is the continuity. So, one of the things that I'm very worried about with Drake May is we all feel there will be a coaching change at some point. No one's feeling Gerard Mayo and this sort of group that is there. Josh Allen has at least had the same head coach that he could say, go get me Joe Brady.
Well, but I actually would argue that Josh Allen, it's been very inconsistent, right? Did very well with Daboll, took some steps back with what's a guy who's in Dorsey, who's in Cleveland right now. I think he took some steps back, and then Brady's sort of getting it on the right path, right? Where when Brady took over last year, Stephon Diggs was like a non-factor anymore. Throw it to the open guy. So I actually go ahead.
No, but what you didn't have was a head coach that was in there on that offensive side installing a different philosophy, like you said, where McDermott, he's going to rely on Allen, but he's going to play a certain way. Same thing it would be for Belichick or John Gruden as a head coach, but those guys would treat quarterbacks very differently. Allen's been lucky McDermott has been the rock there for him, so he could go say, help me with this, help me with that, get me this guy, get me that guy.
Yep. Great point. With you, Gresh. Get us
brother, we are done for today. We have gassed you up as much as we can. We will be back here next Tuesday. You can find us on X. You can get us on YouTube. Get me everywhere at The Real Gresh. Get Jason everywhere at Boston Anik, at Cody Merrow as well. Maybe there's a hashtag in there if it's on Twitter. We will see you back here next Tuesday for another edition of Gas.